The NHL season is, of course, already underway, and with that being said, we, of course, have already seen some European teams start their games. We've seen some players at the junior levels, like in the CHL, WHL, OHL, QMJHL. They've started playing their games. You've got games happening in the AHL with the Hartford Wolfpack, and, of course, we also have games happening at the college level as well. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a pretty big update here involving each and every single one of the New York Rangers prospects, and we're just going to take a look at how their seasons have gone so far, as some of them, of course, have played quite a few games already. Most of them are, at least a few games into their seasons now, whether that's at the college level, the junior level, in the AHL, they played one game there with the Wolfpack, and over in Europe, they've been started for quite some time now. So we're just going to take a look at, like I said, each and every single one of the New York Rangers prospects and just give you a bit of an update here on how their seasons have started off. And we're going to start here with the Hartford Wolfpack. They've only got one game played, like I said, and in net, we did see Dylan Garand go in there for that 2-1 loss. He ended up stopping 26 out of the 28 shots he faced. Seemed like he had a pretty good game there. He ended up having a .929 save percentage, had a 2.06 goals against average, but of course only one game played, but it is nice to see that he did have a pretty good start there. They end up losing that game to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, so of course the AHL team of the Penguins, and it just seemed like a all right game there to kick things off. Only one goal scored there for the Rangers, only 2 goals against. We ended up seeing that goal get scored by Trey Fix-Wolansky, who isn't really a prospect. He's in his kind of, mid to later kind of 20s now. Just a really good kind of AHL player, but we did see some assists happen there with some prospects on that goal, as we did see Gabe Perreault get his first career pro point. He got an assist there on that goal, and also Brendan Hoffman got the secondary assist. So we got to see the primary assist from Gabe Perreault, the secondary from Brendan Hoffman, which is pretty nice to see. That goal happened halfway through the first period, was the first goal of the game, but unfortunately, they do end up losing 2-1. So those were the only prospects in the AHL with the Wolfpack to have any points so far, Gabe Perreault and Brendan Hoffman with an assist each. And now we're going to start off here with the New York Rangers college prospects, where we have seen a few of them get off to some really good starts there. First off, we've got Malcolm Spence, who you're seeing in this clip now from his draft interview. And this is, of course, a player who ended up falling in the draft there. He was kind of, preseason there, starting things off at the beginning of last season, was expected to be a first-round pick, ends up falling in the draft there. He had a bit of an injury kind of problem there that he dealt with throughout the season there, which may have definitely been a factor in him falling in the draft. Rangers end up getting him in the second round, mid-round there, and so far is looking like an absolute steal of a pick. Malcolm Spence is a really good kind of two-way winger. He brings some good toughness, physicality, energy, can probably be a penalty killer as well. He just seems like a really solid kind of all-around player. He's got that kind of playoff style of game there, but he also is a really good offensive threat. So far to begin the season, he's got 4 games played for the University of Michigan on their second line, where he's got 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points, which is not bad at all for a freshman. Still a very young player, of course. He's still only 18 years old, going into the college level where you're playing against some 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, sometimes 24, 25-year-olds, right? So you're obviously playing against some very talented players, and this is someone who's come in there as a young guy and as a freshman has put on a show so far. 6 points in 4 games played is not bad at all. They haven't played the absolute kind of strongest competition so far, so obviously that is going to play a bit of a factor here, but I think in general, this is a pretty great start and pretty much as good as you could have hoped for out of a freshman just stepping in there on that second line with the University of Michigan, of course, one of the top programs at the college level. And next up here, we've got another college player. This one is playing for the University of Minnesota, and that is right wing prospect Brody Lamb. He is currently in his early 20s. He's been at the University of Minnesota for a few years now, but he's having another really great season. He's got 4 games played, 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points, has been a bit more of an under the radar prospect. Seems to have a bit of a decent kind of scoring touch there as well. So maybe ends up becoming a decent kind of maybe middle six or third line guy one day. Who knows? But obviously he's a decent prospect who's off to a pretty good start there with 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points in 4 games played to start his college season. Next up here, we've got one of the top New York Rangers defense prospects, a left-handed defenseman by the name of Drew Fortescue. He, of course, is playing for Boston College, Gabe Perreault's former team. They've been former teammates, of course. They're also at the U.S. National Development Program, but Drew is off to a pretty great start this season. He's got 2 goals for 2 points in 3 games played, which is awesome to see. Boston College doesn't seem to be maybe as good as they've been in past years, unfortunately, so they might not be some kind of true top team this year, but they still should be a pretty good squad, obviously, and Drew Fortescue will hopefully have a pretty big year before he more than likely ends up, going pro at the end of this college season. I would imagine where he'll more than likely, I would guess, kind of end up getting a couple games there with the Wolfpack at the end of this season. Next is another defense prospect playing at the college level, and that is Sean Barnhill, who is a massive 6'5", 6'6", kind of shutdown physical defenseman, really good defensive guy, of course, and he is currently playing for Michigan State University, where he's got 2 games played so far and 1 assist, so I think that's pretty great to see for a freshman at the college level, of course. He took the step up from the USHL, where he was drafted from, of course, and was actually a draft pick from this past draft with that 3rd rounder that was picked up in the Capo Caco trade, where the Rangers got back, of course, a 3rd and 6th rounder, plus Will Borgen, and of course, that 6th round pick is someone who we're going to be talking about a little later on in this video as well. But next up here, we've got another college player who has yet to play a game, though, and that is Rasmus Larsson. He is a lower tier defense prospect. Then you got a couple other college prospects as well. EJ Emery, currently one of the top New York Rangers defense prospects as well. He's a big 6'5", kind of mobile, really great skater. He's a right-handed defenseman, more of a defensive guy for sure, but he is a really talented skater, really physical player, has that great size there, so definitely an interesting prospect, but of course, was kind of talked about a lot as he did not put up many points at all with the University of North Dakota, where he's got 1 game played so far with 0 points. And next up here, we've got another kind of lower tier prospect in Ty Henricks. He is a winger, pretty big guy. He's 6'4", 6'5", something around there. Got some good size there. Decent winger playing for Western Michigan University, but definitely is a lower tier prospect. Next up here, we're going to be taking a look at all the OHL and QMJHL prospects, as the Rangers do not have a single prospect currently playing in the WHL. But the first one here, playing in the OHL for the Barrie Colts, is Evan Passmore. He's a big 6'5", right-handed defenseman, but he is a very mean, tough, old school kind of defender there. He's really tough and physical, has that gritty style of game there, but also is just a pretty good kind of defensive shutdown guy. So far to begin this season, he has no points through 8 games. Last year only had 11 points in 62, so he's definitely more of a defensive defenseman, absolutely. Like I said, has that kind of tougher side of the game there. He was a later round pick, but it does seem like a pretty interesting and decent defense prospect. Next up here, we've got nephew of Sergei Gonchar, Artyom Gonchar, who of course was a 3rd round pick from this past draft. He is a smaller, kind of not great defensive defenseman. He is definitely more of a kind of offensive guy, of course. Good puck mover, good skating ability, but really is just that kind of offensive kind of threat there. He's a good kind of quarterback on the power play kind of thing, but unfortunately has not gotten that offense going at the OHL level, where he's only got 1 point, 1 assist through 7 games played so far. He's a -13, and he is playing currently, though, for the worst team in the entire OHL. They've got a 1-7-1 record. They've got 3 points through 9 games played, so they're not a great team at all. They've only got 17 goals scored this season, so they really haven't done too good, obviously, unfortunately, for, a guy like, Artyom Gonchar, just making the jump over from, the Russian junior leagues over to the OHL North American style game. It definitely could take him a little while to kind of get acclimated there, and, joining such a bad team there really is not ideal, so we'll have to wait and see how things go, but definitely not a great start for the offensive defenseman. Next up here, we've got a decent center prospect by the name of Raul Boilard. He is currently playing for the Shawinigan Cataracts in the QMJHL, where he's got 6 games played, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. Not the greatest start, but it's not too bad of one, of course. He's just a solid center prospect. Not one of the top ones, but I would say just a decent prospect overall. Then you've got the last kind of junior prospect there playing at the junior level, and that is Nathan Aspinall. Of course, he is that big, like 6'7" prospect, another one of those massive players the Rangers drafted, and he is currently playing for the Flint Firebirds in the OHL. He can play on either wing, it seems like, left or right side, and he's off to a pretty phenomenal start where he's got 4 games played, 5 goals, 1 assist for 6 points there. He's off to a great start, and that is exactly what you want to see. Of course, he is that kind of, big prospect. He's like 6'7", 6'8", 6'6", whatever. He's a very tall player. So sometimes it does take, the bigger prospects a little more time to develop there and kind of really hone their craft. So to see him putting up these kind of numbers is definitely a really nice thing to see. He's definitely a pretty talented prospect. Also did get some games there with the New York Rangers at the kind of NHL level for the preseason there. So, did get a little bit of a taste of pro hockey. And now finally, we'll be moving on to the pro players who are playing over in Europe right now. And we're going to start off here with Samuel Jung, who was that 6th round pick picked up in that Capo Caco Will Borgen trade where they got back a 3rd and 6th rounder and Borgen. The 3rd ended up being, of course, Sean Barnhill, who we already talked about. And the 6th rounder ended up becoming a overage prospect. So he could have been taken in the 2024 draft, but that is Samuel Jung, a big Czechian-born prospect. He's a big, like 6'5" wing prospect. He's got some good size there, pretty good scoring ability, it seems like, and he's off to a pretty good start there, although is an overage player, but he is currently playing in the Finnish U20 league for Karpat, where he's got 12 games played, 8 goals, 5 assists for 13 total points. Not bad at all. Then you've got Mikael Eriksson, who is currently playing for Färjestad BK, their U20 team over in the Swedish U20 league, and he is a Norwegian-born prospect, was a 4th round pick from this past draft. He seems like a pretty kind of talented playmaking, kind of two-way center prospect from Norway, but he's got so far in the U20 Swedish league 9 games played, 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points. Pretty great start there for him. In the SHL, we've got a bit of an older prospect now, a guy who's in his mid-20s. Maybe you don't really consider him a prospect anymore, but that is Lauri Pajuniemi, who's a winger, of course, and he has 9 points, 3 goals, 6 assists in 10 games played for Malmö Redhawks in the SHL, the top Swedish league. Then you've got Zeb Lindgren, another guy playing over there in the U20 Swedish league, where he's got 9 games played, 5 assists for 5 points for Skellefteå AIK. He is a defense prospect who was taken in this past draft. Another U20 Swedish league player who is a Swedish-born defense prospect is Felix Farhamar, who was also taken in this past draft, and he's also off to a pretty good start there, where he's got 4 assists for 4 points in 8 games played as a defenseman, which is not bad at all. And guys like, Samuel Jung, Mikael Eriksson, Felix Farhamar, Zeb Lindgren, they all might end up getting an opportunity with their kind of top team at some point throughout this season if they continue up with their good play. And next up here, we've got Rico Gredig, who is currently playing for one of the more kind of well-known teams over in the top Swiss league, and that is HC Davos. He is 20 years old, turning 21 in February. He's a 6'1" wing prospect, former 6th round pick back in the 2024 draft. So far this season, he's got 11 games played, 2 assists for 2 points there. Nothing too crazy. Obviously, he's, in a kind of more limited role, I'm sure, but just an all-right prospect there, former 6th rounder. Did have a pretty good playoff run there, 3 points, 10 games played last year. Played, for the Swiss U20 team at the World Juniors the last couple of years, so just an all-right kind of prospect, but of course nothing too insane. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. If you have enjoyed, definitely don't forget to click that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content, as I do post a video about the New York Rangers every single day. And also, definitely don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts on these prospects? Who do you think has really impressed so far? Who do you think has been the most disappointing? Who's your favorite prospect? Who do you think has the highest ceiling? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll catch you next one, and let's go Rangers.